Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Brands. Today I'm excited to have Gary Hawke with us. Gary has been a key leader at Naturals2Go for over 13 years, bringing a wealth of experience to the healthy vending industry. Not only does he assist others in launching their own vending businesses, but he also owns and operates vending machines for himself, providing him with first-hand experience in running a successful vending operation. In this episode, we'll explore his journey, the mission behind Naturals2Go, and insights into succeeding in this space. So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get started. Welcome, Gary, to the show.
So my name's Gary Hawke. I am a new business development consultant with Naturals2Go, which is just a fancy way of saying I help people get their new business started.
All right. And tell us a little bit about Naturals2Go. What if someone has never heard about it? Just let us know what it is.
Sure. So our industry, we're focusing on vending, which is not a new industry by any means. And people have been buying stuff out of vending machines for 100 years probably. What we've done basically is just kind of taken the twist towards healthier options. Most of the time when you look at a vending machine, it's just candy and pop. That's pretty much all that's in there. And so our idea is, we know there's going to be people that'll always want their Diet Coke and their Snickers bar, and that's okay. We're happy to sell those to them too. But we want to provide healthier options as well, so people can choose whether they want to be a little bit healthier one day, maybe a little less the next day, maybe they want that sugary indulgence one day. We want to have all of that in one place, in one machine. So that's really what Naturals2Go has started with and has become is just an option for everything in a vending machine all in one place.
Okay. And the question most people want to know, if I want to own this type of franchise, how much do I need to have?
You're talking about capital investment, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So one of the cool things too, and just maybe to kind of clarify, we're actually not a franchise. So everybody uses that franchise term because they're familiar with it, but we are truly not a franchise. We do this as a business opportunity. So it saves them a lot on the startup. There's no franchise fee on top of the investment, and there are no royalties. We don't charge a percentage of their sales for the next 10 years or anything like that. So it's a one-time investment just based on the number of machines that they want to start with. And so I really like that about our program, because a lot of these franchises are kind of a one size fits very few. it's that, it's like you've got to step in at this level or else you can't get involved.
Right.
With Naturals2Go, I mean, we can start with, a few machines, we can start with several, we can start with a whole bunch, whatever they want to do that way. So we try to kind of match the investment size with what they're looking to accomplish, whether they want to be part-time or full-time. The majority of the owners that we work with start in we call it the scalable category. So it's basically people who want to start their own business. They're not quite in a spot where they want to just quit their job and do this full time, jump in with both feet. So we'll start with like 8 to 12 machines. It's something that's pretty easily managed on a part-time level. But once we get those up and running, then you can slowly add one more at a time from there to build a replacement income. So basically you have the income in place already. Then you can fire your boss comfortably and say, okay, now I'm going to go do this full time. So it ranges from about 50,000 to about 250,000, just kind of depending on really how busy you want to be and how many machines you want to put out.
Okay. And let's say I'm ready, with the investment money, and I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know all these places. Like, I know a few off the top of my head where I would possibly want to put a vending machine. How do you go about choosing the location? And that seems a little stressful to me. Can you explain a little bit about that process?
Sure. Yeah. I think it's really the biggest part of our program, because I think that's what everybody thinks at that point. Like, well, I don't really know where I would want to put these, and how do I determine if this is going to be a good location or not? Which kind of places are really going to create the most sales. With our program, we have a team of people that handle all of that for you. So ultimately we go through that deciding process of, I think I want to put 10 machines out. That's I've got 10 hours a week. I can handle that. That's what I want to do. Once that decision is made, then we have a team of people that do the research in your area. So they'll figure out which spots are going to be the best, which ones have the right amount of foot traffic, the right amount of employees, which spots are open more than less. I mean, we look for places that are open 7 days a week over places that are open 5 days a week. So they kind of filter all those out to figure out which spots are going to be the best. And then we hand all of that research to an in-market placement specialist. And this is a person that comes to your hometown. They're going to be there in person. They go meet with each of these places one-on-one, and they finalize out the placement of the machines for you. So a new investor, we encourage them to be involved in that process as much as they're comfortable with. Ultimately, they wouldn't have to be involved at all if they didn't want to be. I will say this, the more involved you are, it seems like the faster the process goes. Like, we'll get your machines out faster if you're involved in the process. We know what to look for in a really good location, but you will know more about your area probably than we do. So when you put those two forces together, that's how we get the machines out the quickest. But ultimately, we're responsible to get your machines placed for you. Kind of takes the stress of having to worry about that out of the equation.
And I know that from personal experience, when I've gone to a vending machine, sometimes you go to like pay and it's like, oh, it's broken. No.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that leads me to my next question. Like, what if my vending machine is down and like I don't know, or people are trying to buy from it, and like, what do you do in those situations? Like, I wouldn't want to be missing those sales.
Right. Yeah. The nice thing about our program is, well, two things I guess to highlight. One is in the vending world, there are a big difference in terms of the quality of components that go in a vending machine. So part of that equation is like if you're standing there trying to put your dollar in and it just keeps spitting it back out, it won't take it. Usually there's not anything wrong with your dollar bill. That's usually more reflects the quality of the equipment on the machine. Some of these places, they put a really high quality bill validator. That's what that unit is called. But if you put those in there, they can really tell if it's a real dollar bill or not really well. And it's very unlikely that they get spit back out. And so some of it just comes down to having really good components in your machines. And Naturals2Go prides themselves on putting top-notch components in every part of the machine in there. So we want to eliminate as much of that as possible. We do take all forms of electronic payments with our machine too. And there again, some of it is just connectivity. You have a really good antenna in your machine or just an average one. So is the machine staying connected so it can process those payments? So that's some of it. The other side of it is that the software we have in our machines actually tracks everything that goes on in those machines. And it's updating to you in real time into an app on your phone. So if you have a failed vend, if something happens with the machine, if there's a mechanical problem or anything like that, it's going to pop up in the app on your phone and alert you, let you know something's going on. You'll get a text message right from the machine. It's like, hey, we had a product get stuck or whatever, and so it'll let you
really
know that.
Cool.
So you can track all of that stuff. It tracks all the sales. I mean, like I never go to a machine just to see if I need to restock it. I just look at the app on my phone in the morning, and it's like, oh, yep, numbers are getting low at this location.
So you own one?
I have a few machines out as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that speaks because you're selling the product, so you might as well have some,
Sure. Yeah. That's, I figured that it's, I watched people do this for years actually, because I started with the company first.
Okay.
I've been with Naturals2Go almost, this spring will be 14 years.
Oh, wow.
And I watched people, start with the program, buy some machines, and then pretty soon I'd see them coming back and buying more machines. The more I watched that, it's like, well, they got to be doing pretty well to be buying more machines this quickly.
Right.
And that was really what stood out to me. Like if it was years later and they're like, okay, now we're ready for another machine, that's one thing. But when you've got people that are coming back in 4, 5, 6 months and buying more machines, it's like things must be going pretty well or they wouldn't be doing that. So the more I watch that, it's like, well, how come I'm not doing this? so I started putting some machines out, and I've had machines now out in operation 9 years.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic. So, and it really helps me with this process, because as I talk with folks and they say, well, what about this? What about that? It's probably things that I've encountered already. So at least I could answer questions from a first person perspective too. So,
right.
But yeah, I love it because it doesn't waste any time. I just look at my phone, like, oh yeah, I better go fill that machine tomorrow. If you have a sudden run, like if it really starts selling quickly for some reason, you'll get an alert on your phone like, hey, your machine's selling out. You need to come restock this. It will let you know those things so you're not wasting time running around just to check and see. But then you'll never have a situation where you got a machine sitting there empty and you have no idea.
Right. No, that's huge. So where would people keep the inventory?
It'll depend a lot on the number of machines that you have, really.
Right.
Like for me, I mean, I have 7 machines. I keep that in a little storage closet right here in my house.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
because we don't have to have a ton of stuff on hand all the time. I
Hmm.
kind of look at inventory. It's basically you've tied money up in product that you can't use, to go fishing or whatever it is
Right,
that you like
right,
to do.
right,
So
right.
I don't want a ton of inventory sitting on the shelves. I want inventory in the machines that's turning and selling and turning into profit for me. So you don't have to have a ton per machine on hand. And with technology today, you can place an order from a supplier source and have that stuff in a day or two. Or, I mean, if you really needed it right now, you can run over to Sam's Club and pick it up and go
Hmm.
go put it in the machine. So it's a problem that's easily rectified pretty quickly if you really needed to. So if you've got like some of our big owners that have 50, 150 machines, things like that, they've obviously got to have a lot more product on
Right,
hand. And so they're looking at like they'll turn a whole extra bedroom into a storage room basically to
right.
store the stuff, or sometimes we see them as they get even bigger, they're looking at it's like different storage units or facilities
Hmm.
like that.
Hmm.
But I like it because most people start in that 8 to 12 machine range. That's kind of the average, and that's really easy to maintain from home in a little extra space. So you don't have to go rent storage or come up with a facility right off the bat. Same thing with your vehicle that you use to go fill them. You don't have to go buy a van tomorrow. What the
Hmm.
car that you drive now will be just fine for a while.
Yeah.
Depending on how much you grow, if you get really big, eventually you'll probably have to have something that can carry more stuff. But in the startup phase, you don't have all that extra expense. And I have a little Nissan Versa. It's a tiny little 4-door car. That's what I fill my machines with. So
Yeah.
if someday I have 50 machines out there, that Versa probably won't carry enough stuff. But for now, it works great.
Right, right. No, that's awesome. And as far as training or mentoring, what can someone expect?
So when you first start, we have you come spend 2 days with us at our facility. It's in Savannah, Georgia, and we get you trained up on the machine, hands-on on that kind of stuff. But there's business training, and when we talk about product and inventory management and technology, I mean, we train on all of that stuff for that 2 days while you're there. We also understand that you're not going to be able to learn and or remember everything you need in 2 days. And so as you leave training, you have a coach that's assigned to you. These coaches, they are Naturals2Go owners, and we've recruited them to come on board to help other new owners through that startup phase. So that coach is going to be reaching out to you regularly for the first few months that you're in business while we're getting machines out, that kind of thing. And they're there to help with any follow-up and startup questions. Particularly, hey, what kind of product assortment should I put in my machine if I'm going into a high school? Well, we've got a lot of people that have machines in high school, so that coach can say, hey, this is normally what people put in a machine in that kind of a setting. So it takes the pressure off of you of having to figure all that product stuff out right up front. That mentor is going to be there to help with those questions as you get going. By the time you're in it 6 months, you're a pro at that point, and you're
Yeah.
ready to go. But it's nice to have someone to fall back on for quick questions like that anytime.
Okay. And let's say I want to buy a few machines and I have the capital, but I'm a little bit hesitant and I want to speak to other, vending machine
Oh,
owners.
mhm.
Is that something that's possible or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's usually we try to get you a bunch of information through a webinar presentation right up front just to get a really good overview of what we do and how it works, everything that's
Mhm.
included. If you like what you see there, our next step in the process usually is to send you a whole list of owners.
Mm.
So you can call and talk with them, discuss what the process has been like. How many machines do you have? How long did it take you to get up and running? What does an average machine make in a month? Questions like that you can discuss with them to really
Mm.
kind of get a feel for what you might expect with your startup.
Okay. And last question, I believe, is if I was ready to buy machines like today,
Mhm.
how long is the process? Like when will I have, you know, ballpark my
Sure.
machine up and running for business?
So the training really is what jumpstarts everything.
Okay.
We do one of these training sessions about every 5 to 6 weeks, just kind of depending on what's on the calendar.
Hmm.
So at any given window, when you're completing your purchase, you're going to be going to training within a few weeks. Um, So that, like I say, that kind of launches everything. You meet your coach while you're there at training. You meet the person who's going to be in charge of your locating campaign while you're there, and you kind of schedule those things out while you're there to get the next step started from there. So typically, obviously, it depends on the market, how many machines you start with, and that kind of thing. But on average, you're usually going from like a day where you say, okay, let's do this, to
Mm-hmm.
training, to
Mm-hmm.
locator comes out, and like that first machine hits the ground and starts creating revenue. Usually, 2 to 5 months to kind of get through that whole process is pretty average.
Alrighty. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you feel like I would really like to let the people know about this that we haven't touched on?
I think vending really is probably the best kept secret in the franchising world, honestly.
Mhm.
It's a
Franchising, not franchising.
Yeah, not in the not franchising world, because there's so many options out there that, like say, will only fit for a very specific person. I mean, you got to be just a
Right.
certain type of candidate, or like the franchisor won't even consider you if you don't have enough net worth or enough liquid capital or enough time to commit or whatever. But our program, with the way we do the things that we do for people, the way we get them involved, this option could literally be a perfect fit for pretty much anybody if you like the sounds of the concept. I mean, if you can't see yourself filling a vending machine, then obviously this isn't for you. But it's the type of program that, whether you, like say, whether you want to be part-time, if you want to be full-time, if you want to start part-time and grow into full-time, it fits for almost anybody. I mean, we've seen people be successful whether you live north, south, east, west, single, married. It just really doesn't make too much difference how people start. Anyone can be just as successful as the next person. And we've probably got an option that we can come up with for a size of a program that's going to work for you, capital wise and all that kind of stuff. So I really believe that anyone and everyone should at least take a look at it, because it's the type of a program that could be the perfect fit for you. And it may be exactly what you're looking for. You just didn't know you were looking for it yet. So
Right, right,
that's
right.
that's probably what I would suggest. Take a look, see what you think. You might surprise yourself realizing that, wow, that's actually exactly what I need.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gary, for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you betcha.
All right, so I would end it at that point. Thank you,
Right on.
Gary.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap on this episode's Coffee with the Brands. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and took away valuable insights. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to like it and share it with somebody else who might find it beneficial. If you're ready to own your healthy vending machine, send me a DM and let's get started today. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep brewing up success. Bye.